Good day. Today's August 16th, 2021. Today's video is going to be called Pump and Dump. It's the short, easy, simple slang explanation version of Catherine Austin Fitz's great works. If you want a more technical, you should look up her website, solari.com, I think it is, and study some of her stuff. This is a short version of it, like I say, and it is also the bigger picture all rolled in one. Now I know for those that have been following my reports on code violations and code compliance, community development projects, basically what you have in a municipality, maybe think that I'm doing all this to just report on what's going on with me. That's true, but the reason I'm doing this is because it's like the micro of the macro of what's going on in the world. So it's very difficult to understand the bigger picture. So if you look at it in a smaller, focused one little thing, and understand that, which is easier to do, then you can apply it to the bigger picture and what's going on in your state, in your country, and in the world. Because it's all the same thing, it's just the size, the scope of it, the smaller picture versus the bigger picture, the micro versus the macro. So anyway, to start off this example, the other day it was just after dark and I was observing the storm clouds coming up. Incidentally, it's 89, 90 degrees in here. I had to turn the fan off because it makes too much noise. It's just a little fan, 12-volt fan on my solar system here. Anyway, I was observing the wonderful clouds that were building up and then pumping in the humidity. The humidity is very, very high. It's like back east in Florida or something. And here you're in the desert of Arizona. And like I said in my last video, the weather is, in many places, is going to be even more unusual, upset, or whatever you want to call. And I was right. It's gotten worse, and we've got mosquitoes by the gazillion, just like back east too. Anyway, this couple was walking, and I said, well, those clouds building up, maybe, do you think we'll have a big rain like we did last night? It poured about between 10 and midnight the night before. And the humidity was again high. And anyway, we got talking, and it turned out they had just moved in a month or two ago, just up the road. And we just got talking about it, and eventually, where we were from and everything. Real nice couple. And at one point she even saying that she should invite me over to dinner and we could talk more. And anyway, we got around the property discussion because they've got a neighbor that's a renter, which is rare. These are all lots that are each individually owned, and some of them, it's a real old place. It's like 50 years ago, I think they It's kind of a trailer park. Well, it's a park by a golf course. Anyway, it's real old, so it's a mixture of mobile homes and other homes and everything. It's pretty laid back. But there's only a lot of people just spend the winter here. But anyway, this renter, the wife was saying, because we were talking about code compliance, and I asked them, well, doesn't my place look okay, or do you have any comments about it? And they didn't really say anything. Yeah, but it, from the front it looks fine. But it's a little different. It's a brick, adobe brick, whereas a lot of them are just single because it's so old. But you understand, older places you can't get loans on trailers, or even old homes. The banks only want to carry a mortgage that they can really do well if they foreclose on the people. So anyway, but to the benefit of these people, they approached the neighbor about having furniture outside and stuff like that. And the renter said, well, this is America. I can do anything I want. And I was kind of defending him just on that point, because you understand a lot of these codes, so many people think that the codes are, like God, and that all the compliance stuff is totally backed up. They don't realize how hypocritical it is. Like we had some major storms, 80 miles. I wasn't here when it happened, but a lot of people lost the roofs and the awnings, and carports blew all around. And my place, which the code enforcer's saying is not compliant, nothing happened to it. It went through the storm fine. Where these code compliant places, a lot of them blew away. So you see, just because it's code compliant, that doesn't really mean anything in the real world. But, some people abuse, maybe like this renter neighbor, so I'm not defending or attacking him. I'm just trying to point out, because this woman brought up the point, well, it lowers the value of the properties. Well, they just bought in 6 weeks ago or something, and in the Phoenix area, it's one of the biggest bubbles in the country. It's ridiculous. Now, I paid $41,000 for this place, and they paid something like $200,000, and so there's a difference, of course, the way they look, but not that much difference. Like my neighbor, who's got a double wide, 6 years ago they moved here and bought in for $49,000, and it's a much better place, but it's still only a mobile home, where mine's a brick, even though it's only 580 square feet. It's just a small place, but it's well insulated. I mean, it's still cool in here at 1 o'clock, even when it's, over 100 degrees outside, because I open the windows at night, and incidentally, I don't have air conditioning. Well, I do, but it takes so much solar power that it's just a small unit. I just haven't bothered with it. I like to try to acclimate my body to the weather like. The heat doesn't bother me as much because I don't drive an air-conditioned car and don't, that stuff. It's just not as different. Anyway, she was saying about the property value. Well, she's got to realize, and anybody in this case, that when you buy into a bubble, when it's getting close to bursting, you're going to be the ones that are going to lose out. You're never going to maintain your value because there's a bubble. So the people who buy into a bubble late in the game almost always end up losing. Eventually they do. I mean, it's not almost, it will. When the bubble bursts, if they have a mortgage on the place is not going to be worth what. That's why a lot of people in 2008 just walked away, because they had the mortgage that they owed wasn't anywhere close to what they could get for the house on the market in 2009. So it's a con game, and the point of this video is that same con game is used on nation building in democratization, and that's what was used in Afghanistan. That's in Iran, and they want to do it with Iran, but Iraq and all the Central American countries, all of the South American countries, African countries, the banksters have lent them money like a form of a mortgage to improve their house, to improve the country, to build big dams and stuff like that. And it's pumped up the loans that they've taken out for all this is overinflated. It's a bubble. So they'll never be able to pay back the debt they owed to the banksters. It's really that simple. And the U.S. military is used to back up the nation building, the democratization of the world. But because it's a corporation, not a real government by the people, because that's what a republic's supposed to be. But it's a form. Well, let me explain. This woman I know that works for a large municipal city in another state, but all the big, small municipal, the counties, the same here. They're all the same. They're corporations, and they're all incorporated under one thing. Anyway, she was saying what a community development project is, that it's to improve, just like this woman on the street that lives down the road was saying, it improves the property value. We're all building for more value. But it's only the owners of that corporation that ever gain from that. All the little citizens, the peons, the people that are making the mortgage payments, the nations that are trying to pay back the debt on all these fancy buildings and dam projects, and certain, of them are good, but you can only go so far of what you can pay back. And the whole thing is inflated, not only in counties, municipal governments, state governments, but nations. So that's basically what happened in Afghanistan 20 years ago. All this 9/11 stuff and chasing terrorists was just an excuse to go in and occupy a country, to colonize a country that was at once independent from the world government, from the banksters, and the U.S. military is used to enforce this nation building. And the Taliban and the people in Afghanistan never wanted to live under a democracy. Now, some of the people in the last 20 years have been bought in, just like this woman on the street, lives down this street, has bought in to the wake, we can improve the area. Well, I only paid $41,000. I'm not, I'm at my peak. I can't put a whole bunch of money into improving my place. And my thing to people who want everything the same should, move into a Levittown or move into some community where all the houses are the same or very much the same. That's the beauty of this place. Each property is so different. If they want to live in a gated community or upscale this community, go to a higher community. I mean, that's what the purpose is. I don't know. I hope I'm making some sense here, because it's the same, actually, even in a religion, like the Kool-Aid people down in South America, northern South America, Jim Jones and the temple, they bought into this project of a communized village down in Grenada. No, not Grenada. Anyway, it was northern part of South America. And it's a little bit like under Biden and the communists today. They want to make Jim Jones Temple and get all the taxes from the people. I mean, I realize I'm kind of stretching this, but those of you can see there is a similarity. It's Jim Jones and the people that were running it, the social communists, who, by the way, Jim Jones was tied in with the CIA. I mean, there's enough evidence out there that he was fronted. In fact, he was at one time lived up in the San Francisco area. And the city governments and the community development people were all buddy-buddy with him. And then he just suddenly moved all these people down to South America and collected all their social security payments, and just like the code enforcers and the tax collectors are collecting taxes and enforcing higher codes and fining you. The IRS is good at this. The hardest workers have to pay the highest taxes. I mean, productive workers, not rich people that are, super, super rich people. They get out of paying taxes by having a sub-corporation, by incorporating. I hope I'm making some sense here. The point I'm making is it's all the same, whether it's a small county government enforcing a community development project, or a nation such as Libya or Iraq. The banksters are the ones that ultimately win. And like I've said and other people have said, all wars are banksters or banking wars, because them and their underlings and all their followers are the ones that are getting rich off it. And That's why the separation or the difference between well, there isn't any middle class anymore, but the poor, the distance between the poor and the super wealthy is expanding so quickly. There's 20 minutes. Yeah, so drink the Kool-Aid, take the jab. Believe everything the government tells you. You can depend on the news media. They will tell you straight. Of course, the news media is owned by the same super wealthy. There is no independent news media in this country anymore. 21 minutes. Well, maybe that's enough. Good day for now. Bye.